So right now we're walking up on some of the damage that was caused by close-range artillery. None of this stuff was caused by missiles. It was all... Is that an air raid alarm?
Yes.
I'm just an hour outside of Kyiv, and everything changes. You cross this invisible line, and suddenly the air feels heavier. The streets feel haunted. We're moving into the Kyiv region now, a place I'll never forget. Before the war, these were simple places, peaceful, the kind of towns you wouldn't think twice about. Tree-lined streets, playgrounds, apartment buildings where people cooked dinner, argued over the remote, and watched the snow fall from their balconies. Just life, ordinary, beautiful life. And then, overnight, they became war zones. In the early months of 2022, Russian forces came down from the north, closing in on Kyiv. Towns like Bucha, Irpin, and Borodyanka were in the way. What happened here wasn't just destruction, it was personal. Homes were shelled, streets turned into front lines. Some people ran if they could, some didn't get the chance. By late March, when Ukrainian forces pushed the invaders back, what was left behind wasn't a battlefield. It was a crime scene. Civilians executed, mass graves, people found in basements and courtyards, bound, tortured, left in the streets. This was one of the first places the world really saw what this war was doing to ordinary people. But what it doesn't see is what's left. The grief, the hope, and the lives that keep going, even when the world moves on. I didn't know exactly what I was looking for when I came to Ukraine, only that I needed to see it for myself. But what I found wasn't just ruin. It was the memory, the resilience, and the people who stay. Not because it's safe, but because sometimes the pull of home is stronger than the push to survive. Our first stop in the region is Horenka. It's here that I'd had my first experience among many to follow with the sounds of war. And from that moment on, the war wasn't distant anymore. It was all around me.
All right, so today's day 3 with Natalia, and we just left Kyiv, right into the Kyiv region, and we're entering into an area that was occupied by the Russians at the beginning of the war. And already we're starting to see signs of that.
Horenka is a small village just 20 kilometers from Kyiv. But when the invasion began, that short distance made all the difference. The front line came overnight. Homes were torn open. The school was hit. 2 journalists lost their lives here trying to show the world what was happening. For a place this small, Horenka has carried more than its share of heartbreak, and what's left behind tells the story. Natalia wants to show me a car cemetery, and it isn't just wreckage. It's a snapshot of panic, frozen in place.
So right now we're walking up on some of the damage that was caused by all close-range artillery. None of this stuff was caused by missiles. It was all... Is that an air raid alarm?
Yes. Potentially, there's gonna be missile or drone attack in this area. Yes, I just received notification as well.
What are they announcing?
He's just saying there is an air raid.
How does that make you feel that there's an air raid happening right now and we're just standing here basically being tourists?
I'm already get used to it, so it's not like there is any reaction, anyone screaming or something, like, okay.
An air raid alarm just went off and it's so normal now. Like, people are just working, going about their lives, and you didn't even bat an eye. You're like, oh yeah, whatever. That's so wild.
I gotta say, that moment really caught me off guard. 1 second we're just walking, and the next, that sound filled the air. But what really hit me was what didn't happen. No one flinched. The town didn't skip a beat. And I realized this is normal now. It's just background noise.
And when you say cemeteries, you mean just places that they're putting vehicles?
It's just the name how it's called.
Cemetery for vehicles. And all these burned out vehicles with bullet holes and shrapnel damage all on the side of them. And it looks like there's a military vehicle back there too, maybe a tank, but it's buried underneath all this stuff. This is wild, y'all.
All these people, they just left cars, and Russians just destroyed these cars, burned these cars, and eventually when area was deoccupied, Ukrainian forces came to the area, started the cleanup, and now in this area we do have 3 cemeteries like this. The one, very small one we just visited, it's almost no vehicles left. The one we are going to right now, it's gonna be a bit bigger. The last one will be much bigger.
Okay, what reason, why did the Russians destroy these vehicles? Like, what purpose did they have doing that?
It is the same purpose as why did they torture and kill civilians. We don't know. Like, it's who knows why they did it? Why they invaded Ukraine? Why they killed people? Why they tortured people?
How many people died in this village alone?
In this area, it was maybe around 300 people or something. Yeah, it's just very relative numbers. Like, many people went missing and calculation became just harder.
There's this kind of silence that settles in after a conversation like that. You don't really respond, you just sit with it, let it hang there between you and the road ahead, and it followed us all the way to Bucha. And then we arrived at the second cemetery, larger, heavier, not just with wreckage, but with the weight of everything that came after. People came here hoping to find something they could salvage, but there wasn't much left. Just what remains when no one comes to help you start over.
So the owners were coming back and looking for a possible car that was left intact.
Yes.
And they were coming back to take it to possibly repair it or like do insurance claims, because back then at the beginning of the war, insurance was actually working somewhat.
Well, insurance wasn't doing anything because of this type of destruction, since it was not really typical type of destruction, like a war destruction. And nowadays we do have these improvements, we have this type of insurances, like war insurances, but back then
It wasn't covered. They were just left to fend for themselves. Like they
Yes.
weren't receiving assistance from insurance companies.
unfortunately no.
Wow. This is all stuff you don't think about.
When the war started and Kyiv region area was occupied, people, they tried to save themselves, so there was evacuation, people were running away, and unfortunately it was not always possible to take pets and save animals, and unfortunately many people just abandoned animals, which sounds really cruel and you cannot really imagine it, but it really happened here. Because the number of stray dogs increased crazily, and after the occupation, it was really crazy to see so many stray dogs and cats just wandering around.
But yeah, these people had no other choice but to leave everything,
Yes.
pets included.
Yes, and there was a very big program provided here with helping stray animals. And in most of the cases, this program was really focused on dogs, because cats somehow they can adjust to it. And anyways, people were trying to help anyone, but nowadays in Kyiv region area, it's more like stray cats. So that is why usually I have more like food for cats.
Right.
I used to have food for dogs as well, but I forgot I'm not having anymore because I gave it already.
Well, it seemed like any dog that we've seen today is like they're taken care of. They look well fed.
Yes, and you can also see...
They all had tags on them.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. It means the dog is sterilized and like medically checked up.
Okay,
So,
that's great. Yeah. So are there any programs now for cats?
as far as I know now, these programs are basically overall, like for dogs and cats included. It's just that dogs, they usually stay now around areas with people, like this cemetery. There is a metal factory with checkpoint, with workers. So these dogs are just living there. But in any case, cats are also well taken care. Maybe it looks, of course, sad to look at a dog or cat running around.
Yeah.
But I would say in most of the cases, they are living in these places and someone is definitely taking care of them because they are completely attached to the particular area, probably because of people who are living here.
So this is a mural made out of bombshells, bullets, pieces of artillery, mortar rounds, and all of this is from the current war. And this was constructed, you said 5 months ago?
Yes, quite recently, and this is exactly almost in the city center of this town, Irpin. So basically everyone can witness it on a daily basis and remember.
Wow.
These were weapons meant to level homes, take lives, erase a town. Now they're welded together, stacked like bones. There's no elegance to it, no polish, just raw defiance, forged from the very things that were supposed to break this place. You can destroy buildings, you can burn cars, you can bomb a town flat, but when the people turn the shrapnel into a monument, you didn't win.
So now we've arrived at the Palace of Culture. This place right here was built during the Soviet era.
The Irpin House of Culture was built by factory workers after World War II. They laid every brick with their own hands, built it for their kids, for music, for gathering, for life. Then the war came. Shells ripped through its walls because the Russians knew if you could kill the culture, the rest might fall easier. But even in ruin, this place found its voice again. In 2022, Ed Sheeran and the Ukrainian band Antatila filmed a music video here, not just for the backdrop, but to send a message. Even after everything, the spirit of this place still speaks, still stands.
As you can see, this place is completely destroyed by artillery and impact. There's a little bit of fire damage up there, but most of this is impact damage. On the side of the building is all these bullet and shrapnel holes. Guys, this is wild. And the door is open, so in true explorer fashion,
I say we just head on inside and hope for the best.
see what it looks like in here. Wow. You can tell this place back in the day was glorious. And look at how, as the room goes up, it gets more and more sooted. So much smoke damage. This amazing tile on the floors, completely covered up by dust. And this stairway here. And this is all Russian architecture. There's a pigeon up here in the corner, staring us down. At least someone's getting some use out of this building now. Wow. I'm having to watch my step. This is amazing. I know I said that I wasn't going to be able to do much urban exploration, but hey, here we are. This is crazy. I'm gonna make my way up these stairs, but I'm gonna be very careful where I walk. So even though this place has been bombed out and burnt, the structure is still very solid. I would imagine they could still salvage this building and restore it, because it looks like the bones to the building are still strong. Yeah, it doesn't look like we can go much further than this. At this point, I think it's gonna get dangerous to keep walking into this area. I'm surprised they let people come in here. The doors aren't barricaded and people are allowed to just stroll right into this building. And that's another thing that I want to point out about Ukraine is that since I've been here, the general consensus seems to be very open to documenting the war. I think that people generally want the world to see this and not forget what happened here. It is so cold here, guys. And even though I have 5 layers on, I'm still freezing. It's just incredible to be standing in a building like this and just documenting a bombed out building here in Ukraine that was built during the Soviet era. That was incredible. Even though this place is completely empty, just being inside of a building like this, under the conditions of why it's abandoned, is absolutely mind-blowing.
Leaving the House of Culture, I thought about what it meant for a building to hold that much memory, now standing in ruin, hollowed out. And it made me realize that war doesn't just target lives, it targets the soul of a place. Its sense of self, its language, and its sound. And speaking of language, as we were driving away, Natalia told me that Ukraine has been pushing out the Russian language from public life and even banning Russian music. But something about that just didn't sit right. What do you guys think?
So many people that live in Ukraine are from Russian descent, and a lot of them speak with Russian dialect, I'm sure, right? What about those people? Are they going to have to change the way that they speak just to be within the limitations of the law?
It's not critical to speak Ukrainian in public places. I mean, you can still, I guess, speak Russian in public with your friends, just not like, I don't know, being loud or something. So, yeah, I don't find it that hard because in any case it's our language, so that's not a foreign language, it's not hard to use it. So if it's gonna be like this, let it be like this.
I have so many questions. How do I phrase this? So basically, under the Russian control, everything is regulated. Where you work, what you choose to do with your time, where you choose to live. Do you think that making such laws as deciding what music you can and cannot listen to in public, that's a little bit along the lines of overreach of government control?
To be honest, sometimes I think it might be too much because it's like already crossing the line of freedom of choice.
So when a government starts limiting what language can be spoken in public or what music can be played, when it steps in to shape culture in the name of defense, it raises a hard question. At what point does that control begin to echo the very thing you're fighting against?
So I'm still hoping it's all gonna be like sort of discussions, because I don't want Ukraine become the same as Russia, basically, because this is what exactly happens in Russia. So
right. That's what I would think, is like, it sounds very Russian in and of itself to make such a law. But that's just my opinion. That's just my outside point of view.
Yeah, I'm totally agree. It should be not the same way, so we don't look the same as Russians.
Yeah.
All right, so we just arrived at one of the largest car cemeteries. I love how they're not hiding what's going on at all. It's essentially a public demonstration. I mean, this is just a massive mound of cars all piled up in this parking lot alongside this busy highway.
Ukraine is fighting a war of truth as much as territory. Lining these ruins up like this, it's a rebuttal to every lie that says civilians weren't targeted. The facts are right here. Burnt metal, shattered glass, stories cut short. Now what remains isn't just scrap. The way the cars are piled here, burnt out, collapsed into themselves, it feels eerily familiar, like the mass graves scattered across the country. Different form, same grief. Both hold what was someone's life. Both are shaped by violence. And both make damn sure the past doesn't just disappear. And just down the road, there's another kind of memorial. Natalia says I need to see it.
Yeah, some of these I've seen in photos. It's not the same at all once you see it in person. It's so much bigger. And the entire parking lot full.
So now we're coming up onto a bridge that Natalia wanted to specifically show me, and she said it has a very tragic story. So what exactly happened?
As Russian forces pushed toward Kyiv, the town of Irpin became a major front line, and this bridge was a direct path to the capital. With Russian troops closing in, Ukrainian forces were faced with an impossible choice: blow the bridge or let Kyiv fall. It was a tactical move, but it came with a price. The explosion didn't just trap the invaders, it stranded thousands of civilians trying to flee, suddenly with no way out. And when the bridge came down, a new kind of war began, one for survival. People fled on foot, dragging suitcases, carrying what they could. They left behind homes, cars, entire lives. And as they ran for what was left of the crossing, Russian shells came pouring down. At least 8 civilians were killed right there, including a family of 4 caught in the chaos. And that could have been where the story ends, but it wasn't. Because when the world falls apart, some things refuse to go down with it. Locals, neighbors, strangers grabbed whatever they could with wheels and gas. Old beat-up vans, little hatchbacks, didn't matter. They drove through hell to get people out. And across that broken bridge, Ukrainian soldiers met them, bare hands laying down wooden planks, lifting the weak, the old, the sick, the scared, all of them under fire. And that's the thing about war. It breaks everything. But sometimes it reveals something too. Not just a will to live, but a deep, stubborn refusal to abandon each other. In the end, over 3,000 people made it across. Some crawled, some ran, but alive. The bridge still stands in ruins, twisted and broken, but it held. It bought time, it saved lives, and for a moment, it saved a country.
this is exactly how it looked like. People waiting for Ukrainian soldiers to provide evacuation, because yes, that's it. This is exactly, as you can see, the same angle, the same territory. We can maybe go closer to see this bridge closer. And there is still a car over there.
Yeah, I can see that. Wow.
This car. The process of
this car here is that car there. And you said they're probably going to keep it like this?
Yes, as you can see, the area is nice and like tidy. It's like a memorial complex here nowadays, because the other part of bridge is already here, so this one will be just as a memory.
We're in the middle of this village that was occupied by Russia right at the beginning of this war, and a lot of these houses across the street are all abandoned. You can hear construction happening all around us. Hammers, chainsaws in every direction. They're not wasting any time to rebuild this whole area. Okay, so we just got to a small village called Borodyanka. It's right outside of Kyiv. And what's so interesting about this place is that almost 100% of this village was completely destroyed. Every single building in this village was either damaged or demolished. Anything that we see standing is either in disrepair or it's being rebuilt.
As we reach the edge of Borodyanka, you can feel it. The air gets heavier, thicker, like the whole town is holding its breath. In every direction, wreckage. Homes, lives, futures, just gone. This was once a quiet village. Now it's a scar on the map. One of the war's ugliest stories.
I don't believe my eyes. It's hard to say, but I don't really believe my eyes that it is possible. There is no any single reason why to do it.
So how long were the Russians stuck in this area? You said that they basically got bored because they couldn't move anywhere because of the resistance.
In general, the entire occupation took place for 30 days. There was insane number of tortures and different other type of terrible stuff that Russians did to people. There have been many casualties, many civilians been killed and tortured. So eventually, after the occupation, when first Ukrainian militaries and photographers came to the area to capture the consequences, the terrible picture was in front of their eyes. The streets full of killed people, just bodies laying on the ground. Right now, these pictures are still fully available and accessible to find on Google. The first hours of the occupation of Kyiv region. Russians did so much violence, which is absolutely not, you cannot like comprehend in your mind.
When Ukrainian forces destroyed the Irpin bridge to block Russia's advance toward Kyiv, the advance didn't stop, it just turned. Towns like Borodyanka became the next target. What followed was almost a month of siege. Russian forces launched relentless airstrikes and artillery attacks, leveling homes with high-powered munitions, FAB-250 bombs, cluster munitions. Apartment blocks collapsed like paper. Entire families were buried in the rubble, unreachable. The town was cut off. No power, no water, no way out. And then the darker stories began to surface. Torture, sexual violence, looting, executions. The kind of things people don't like to name, but what their survivors carry with them forever. When the Russians finally withdrew at the end of March, Ukrainian forces entered the town and began uncovering what was left. Over 300 bodies were recovered, some buried hastily, others trapped under concrete. Borodyanka became more than a small town. It became proof of cruelty, of courage, and of what war looks like when no one's watching. Before the war, Borodyanka had close to 13,000 people. Most are gone. Most probably won't ever come back. And standing here, it's hard not to ask yourself, how the hell does a place like this even begin to rebuild?
Almost all the people that we're seeing walking around, these are just residents of the area that more than likely fled and came back afterward.
Big number of people stayed here, and I would say it's less people who emigrated than people who actually stayed here, because no one expected the violence, so people were not really running away. And nowadays it's not a very big number of people living here, because this reconstruction only started taking place some month ago.
Yeah, where are they going to go?
And yes, that is why most of the people started already new life somewhere abroad, and especially people of those buildings, like, yeah, there is no way they will be coming back. This is one of the Banksy graffitis from building which was dismantled, and the wall with his painting was kept like this.
So a year after the war first started, Banksy came out here and painted this mural?
Here there is information. It says August 2022.
This is my second Banksy mural that I've seen in real life. So for an entire year, this whole area was just basically left abandoned.
After everything that was reconstructed around Kyiv, finally time for this place arrived as well. So reconstruction of this place really just started in June 2024, and very fast.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much work that's already been done. And just like the other village that we just left, you can hear construction happening basically in every direction. Jackhammers, chainsaws, and it smells like diesel from all the equipment that's being operated all up and down the streets. And these are all brand new storefronts that are being put in, and it's pretty populated. Like, people are moving in fast.
I would say this is because it's kind of lunchtime now.
Wait, what do you mean it's lunchtime? It's like
lunch,
4 o'clock, right?
Yeah, it's sort of can be considered as lunchtime in here.
Okay, interesting.
It's when people do have some breaks at work, like you can just jump out and, yeah, like, you know.
So noon is that for America?
Yeah.
Like, well, noon is always lunch. It's like, what do you mean it's lunch? It's so late in the afternoon. It's almost dark.
It's strange walking through these streets, because on one side it looks like a town rebuilding, but just recently this road was lined with bodies. Russian tanks rolled through here, firing into homes, tearing through a town that never asked for war. And now there's the sound of drills instead of gunfire, fresh pavement instead of rubble. And already this town's learning how to stand again, not just being rebuilt, it's being reclaimed, brick by brick.
It was crazy to see that. It's much less people, of course.
Now we're coming up on the city center, and you can see even here there's a lot of damage from mortar shells and artillery, and there's a lot of damage right here, all on the ground from various battles that were fought right here in the city center.
And just up ahead, there's more art. It's like everyone's trying to process what happened here, the only way they know how.
We have another Banksy painting right here. What's interesting is all this other art is sort of in the same style as Banksy. Definitely using the same medium and canvas, more or less.
I forgot to mention that all of these paintings, except of the Banksy one, are painted by the same artist.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it's kind of just his style.
Yeah, it seems like he's heavily influenced by Banksy. It must be amazing to have your art next to a Banksy.
Yeah.
That's insane. And this one over here too, which looks very Banksy. And all these pieces of artwork have been scrapped from buildings that have been demolished now. I think it's so cool that they use their resources to save these precious pieces of art. It's hard to imagine that so many of the people that we've seen walking around today were here during the Russian occupation of this town. They just never saw it coming. They never expected the Russians to treat them the way that they did. These are war crimes. I cannot imagine what these people have lived through. And it's so wild to think that this is so close to the city of Kyiv. We're literally right on the outskirts of it.
Borodyanka is the last stop, and it feels like the kind of place that stays with you. Not because of the destruction, but because of the fight to come back from it. But there's one more place I need to see before the sun's gone. A place where some of the machines that tore through here ended up.
Okay, and so now we're walking to this Russian tank cemetery. And you can see that they have it right here on a busy highway to have it out on display for everyone who drives by. Look at this. I mean, guys, this is crazy. And I love how they call these cemeteries. This is incredible. This right here is a turret of the tank that's been blown off. Maybe this is the tank that it was on originally. And like I said, it's so interesting that all this is right next to the road. It's more or less a public display of the efforts of the Ukrainian army. And there's a lot of them out here. I mean, this goes on for quite a while in this field. Just lining the road.
What makes a place still feel like home after it's been broken beyond recognition? The entire day's been spent tracing the path of destruction, town after town, still torn apart by the front lines. And somehow people are still here, making coffee, tending their gardens, rebuilding neighborhoods, and moving bricks like they're holding the whole world together with their bare hands. And maybe they are. When war rips through a place, takes the homes, the lives, the stories, what's left behind tells you more than what the rubble ever could. They're not just surviving this thing, they're staring it in the face, refusing to give up on the life they still believe in and still fight for. Not out of denial, but as an act of love for what this place means to them. And I guess that's home. It's getting late and the temperature's dropping. Time to head back to Kyiv and get some sleep. What little you can get with the air raid alarms and constant blackouts. Even the city can't sleep through this war. Now it's time to say goodbye to Natalia. And from here on out, I'll be finishing this journey on my own.
Yeah, this looks nice.
Just like that, all good things must come to an end. Natalia, thank you for everything. I really appreciate you.
So here's the plan. I'm gonna head 250 miles east to Kyiv, Ukraine's second largest city. Now, this place is still an active war zone, and it's about as close to the front line as I can get. Alarms go off daily. Bombings and drone attacks are still ongoing, and yes, people are still dying there. But yet somehow, life continues. People still open the shop, they sweep the floors, take their kids to school when they can, and fix the same shattered window for the third time this month. Because it's home, and they've decided they're not leaving. But I'm not going to chase bombs. I'm going because I need to see the people still living under them. See you in Kyiv.